eventually, what I think you'll start to see is you will start to see like there's all these weird, creepy, like Elon Musk owns a bunch of these companies. I think one is called Neuralink, where it's literally about just, implanting, like it's merging biology with AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially merging. It's like Elon Musk has said, we got to merge with technology so that AI doesn't destroy us. We have to merge with it,
Right.
or they're going to destroy us,
Right.
because we've already opened the can of worms, and it is what it is. And as soon as AI can just read, they can read every book that's ever been written in an instant. They're going to be smarter than us. They'll be smarter than Jordan Peterson. They'll be smarter than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to come and they're going to look at us like bugs.
Right.
And they'll just get rid of us if we stand in their way. So Elon Musk is like, what we have to do is merge with them.
Right.
And the government's been studying all these things, like there's this thing called DARPA, which is the defense. I don't know if I'm going to say it right, but it's like the Defense Agency Research Projects Administration or something of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they study weapon systems of the future. And the book on it was written by Annie Jacobson, who's she just went on Rogan, and I know her a little because her son is friends with my friend's son, and I tried to get her on my show, but she's too busy for that. And she talks like a stripper, and she's like, well,
I heard her, yeah. Very
actually,
sultry, yeah.
Joe.
She's talking about mummies.
Actually, in Area 51 is really wet. It's really wet. And it's wet because... And it's like, she's a phone sex operator with a brain.
For UFOs, yeah.
Yeah, for UFOs. So she wrote a book, and she was basically like, listen, these guys are 20 years ahead. All the technology that we have, 20 years ago, they had this. So they had some version of it.
Right.
And that they have things that are... So 20 years from now is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And she said some of the things that they're working on are these neural links, neural interface programs where you can order drone strikes with your head. Because it's too much time to order them with your finger.
Right.
Because there's a lot of deliberation, right?
Right.
Doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah.
When we're just bombing weddings and poor kids playing soccer in Pakistan. It's apparently too hard to level villages.
Right.
So what we need to do is have basically some chip in someone's head so they could just think about a drone strike, and then it'll just start to light the world on fire. So that's on its way.
Oh, Jesus.
Me and Ben were watching drone strikes the other day. It's important, by the way. It's important if you're feeling patriotic, at any point, go and watch a drone strike. Go watch a death machine fly across the air and kill probably an innocent child.
Yeah.
And really get an idea. And the idea that, like, and by the way, these people have never even seen this technology.
Right.
It would be the equivalent of us having UFOs come here and just vaporize us.
Right.
They're out there, and we're and you start to realize that, like, ISIS was never a threat. All of the idea that these people are threats is a complete fucking lie. Mm-hmm. These people are in caves.
We fund them.
We fund them.
We make them. They're false enemies.
Yeah, they're improv teams
They're
that we fucking...
Yes, and terrorism.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. Yeah. Okay, so pretend that let's say you were going to attack a country. Maybe you do it with this weapon. This is a prop.
Right,
you know? It's that old Bill Hicks joke. You give the guy, it's like that Jack Palance in the movie Shane.
Right.
You give the guy a gun and you're like, look at him. He had a gun.
Yeah.
But it's like you watch those drone strikes and you say to yourself, it's hard to take any politician seriously that gets on TV and starts talking about ISIS or any of these. You could just vaporize.
I know. And they all have to get to that level, which is the most depressing part. Because they all start off like in this time where they go on Rogan, they sound like, oh man, like grassroots. Like this is gonna be they're like real. It's a real person.
Yeah.
They keep going. A year goes by, they campaign, then they're talking about all this shit that we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, you got bit.
Yeah.
They
well,
get bit.
yeah. Well, what I think the reality is that one of the two things is the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's either Obama coming out before he gets into office saying, I think that we've gone a little too far in Iraq,
right? Which
is what needed to happen. Nobody would have won if a guy was like, listen, the problem is we need more. Right. At that point, the country was like, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. You needed a guy who was cerebral and articulate to go out there and go, yeah, there's limits to what the American military could do. So then what they did was just quietly drone strike people. And then he, went on Ellen and danced. So all these idiot blue check marks out here were like, yes, Queen. They were like, oh, he's great. And so you say to yourself, you're like, well, which is the real guy?
Right.
And then it's more complicated than that, I'm sure. And I'm sure it's not as easy. And I'm sure when you get in there, the CIA, all these people, because I've read books and I've had people on the show, they start telling you all the things that you need to do.
Right.
Because because they basically go in there and go, the presidential daily briefing, the threat assessment, which Trump, by the way, was like, I don't need it.
Right. Yeah,
thanks. Keep
right?
moving. But that is really to just go in there and terrify who's ever the president. They just terrify him.
Yeah.
And they go, we heard that a guy was going to blow up the Sears Tower just because some raving lunatic, some open micer in Beirut is running around talking nonsense. And they present it to the president like it's an actionable piece of information.
Right.
Where they're like, well, any day now, so you just better authorize whatever the fuck we have to do. And this is why it's like, it's hard to take anybody fucking seriously when they go out there, any of these politicians, and they start talking about, the great threats and da-da-da-da-da. And it's, I mean, it's like, if you need, go get a potato and put a Marlboro Light in its mouth and watch that and then press play on your phone.